Wiggins with Locked On Jaguars. Got a good show here on Monday. We're going to talk about whether or not folks were right when they said the Jaguars could actually ruin Trevor Lawrence. I'll give you my spin on it and a little bit more than that in just a few seconds here on Locked On Jaguars on a Monday.
You are Locked On Jags, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's going on, good people? Tony Wiggins here with Locked On Jaguars, and we thank you again for making us your first listen of the day, because we're the daily podcast that gives it to you straight with no chaser, and we're free on all platforms, and we're always glad that you join us. You see my eyes roving around. I'm trying to multitask here, right? So we got some multitasking to do today. We're going to talk about the Jaguars. We're going to talk about the 50-10 loss that they had to the Patriots yesterday. In fact, we're not going to talk much about that because we all knew that was going to happen. And right now, folks just want to find out what are we going to do about it here in the future. I don't know what they're going to do. But I will give you an assessment today on what I think that they should do moving forward. You know, when the Jaguars secured the number one pick and it was obvious that they were going to take Trevor Lawrence and make him the first pick overall, there were people in New York media, folks on TV, people all over Twitter sitting here saying they're going to ruin Jacksonville. Trevor, don't go there. It's crazy. And one of the things that we always discussed here on Locked On Jaguars, in case you have never listened to the show before, was the fact that there's nothing wrong with Jacksonville, the city. This isn't a place where people come. This isn't, what's that lake that everybody goes to and all these weird things happen? Like Lake Lanier or whatever that is. I hope that's the name of it. I hope I ain't, just making up something. But there's some lake that they say, why do you all keep going there? And then it's like the Bermuda Triangle. They say, don't fly your plane into the Bermuda Triangle. And you always wonder why people fly their plane into the Bermuda Triangle and then they don't come back, right? Like the worst thing that can happen. Like folks are actually, over the years, have made Jacksonville sound like it was the Bermuda Triangle or Lake Lanier. And we argue against that stuff because it's like, I grew up in this city. I've been pretty successful. It's a beautiful town. It's beautiful weather. There have been a lot of media members that have come through here now national media members. There's a lot of good things that come from Jacksonville. A lot of NFL players played high school ball here. There's nothing wrong with the water, nothing wrong with the grass, nothing wrong with the air that we breathe. I mean, it ain't like the Walking Dead around here, right? So why did these people think that Trevor Lawrence was going to come here and get ruined? Now we get to the answer. It's because the football team and the structure of the football team and the structure of the front office, and in the past, the coaching staff, is abysmal. And that's the only common denominator to all of these different regimes over the last 10 years, to all of the different things that have gone on, regardless of who the players or the coaches were. Shad Khan as the owner has been a failure. However, I don't think he's a bad person. I had a little debate this morning whether or not Trent Baalke, the current GM, is a good or bad person. One thing that me and that person agreed on, and that person knows him, they said he's just probably a bad GM, but they don't think he's such a bad person. So I don't know him personally, so I'll just leave that at that. I think Shad Khan's a good man. I think he's a good person. And I think he wants to win. I really do. And I think anyone that thinks that he doesn't want to win just because his money is guaranteed because of the television deal and the revenue sharing in the NFL, I think they're selling him short a little bit. Because if you're going to get paid, either way, then why not win and get paid rather than sit there and lose and people making emojis out of you and the whole league saying that you don't know what you're doing and being called in by the commissioner along with a couple of other teams saying, hey, y'all need to get it together. Nobody wants that, especially when you've been a winner in other ventures, correct? All right. So what is it that makes this place abysmal? And what is it about Jacksonville that if they were a person, you would nickname them can't get right? Because that's exactly what's been going on here. It seems like they can't get right. So now let's get to this. This is why the fans are so upset, because you have a golden opportunity to get right. You have a golden opportunity to start over. You have a golden opportunity to wipe the slate clean, and Shad Khan seems like he's hesitant to do it. And not only is he hesitant to do it, even if he's going to do it, PR says that you should probably make it be known that you're going to do it now while you're looking for a new coach and probably a new GM. So why can't they get this timing down? I've said in the past that one of the things the Jaguars had a problem with was their messaging. And I think they had a problem with messaging. And I came to that conclusion because I've actually stood in the locker room and talked to players, and players were openly telling me. And these are guys that had been veterans and had been other places. It's trash. Like, doesn't mean there's not good people in the building, but compared to where these guys had been before, and trust me, the teams that if I name the teams, you're going to know who I'm talking about. Those organizations are run totally differently, and they are not a dumpster fire. And for those guys to say, this is the worst as I've ever seen it. I've never seen anything like this. And this was during the Gus Bradley era. And remember now, Gus actually was sunshine and rainbows. He was always trying to make everything positive. He had video games and ping pong tables, and they were throwing barbecues and all of this stuff. And still, those guys were like, this ain't it, boss. I remember asking one dude, well, what are they doing wrong? He said, everything. Everything. First-time owner, first-time coach, and at that time, a first-time general manager. So you guys know how we got here. You guys know everyone who took those jobs and everyone who's been here and all of the losing and all of the finger pointing. The common denominator is Shad Khan, and the other common denominator is he just doesn't seem like he wants to start this thing over and just totally reboot what he started in the first place. And that has to change. I'm going to tell you why I think there's a fear of failure or a fear, because you remember last year when he hired Urban, he said, I think I got it right this time. Right? I think I got it right this time. So we're going to discuss why he fears failure, in my opinion, again, and it's going to prevent him to do the right thing. And in the third segment, I'm going to talk about hiring a coach and hiring a GM and why I think the fans are a little bit off. And then I'm going to give a little message to the fans, too, about how you've been complicit. And that doesn't make you a bad fan. It makes you somebody who thought you were doing the right thing, but how you've been a little bit complicit in all of this and has enabled Shad Khan and that crew to be slow to move on things that they need to do better. I'm going to give all that to you, man, today here in segments 2 and 3 on Locked On Jaguars. After I tell you about Built Bar. Built Bar is something else, man. You better check it out. And it's the new year, so that means New Year's resolutions. If yours is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you include Built Bar in your plan. Why? Because the macros are off the chain, 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. So when you see something like that, you'll go, well, it must be nasty and chalky and waxy since it's got all those good macros in it. Absolutely not. Covered with 100% chocolate. They have some of the best flavors you have ever seen on a candy bar, not to mention a protein bar. This is better, though, because it has that same continuity, same chewy, that gooey caramel and salted caramel, man. It just tastes so good. I'm telling you, Built Bar is the way to go with your new resolutions, because you're going to be able to stay in shape, and it's going to give you a jolt of energy and lasting power until you can get back to your new eating, which is salad and probably some lean meat and all of that stuff. Built Bar gives you something that'll satisfy your palate while you're eating some of those bland choices that you have to make, right? So Even if you're not a huge fan of working out, at least you can eat something that tastes good and it's good for you, and you can do it guilt-free. So go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off of your order. I'll repeat that. Go to built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. All right, man, we're going to run through it here and talk about why I believe Shad Khan is probably a little bit fearful to have to redo a process all over again, because nobody likes to fail. That's why I think he's probably afraid. And he's also probably afraid that it'll appear that he's just doing a total reboot on what his idea in the first place was to winning. So what I mean by that is he's never totally, he's done it like 90%, but he's never totally just started fresh with a new vision and a new outlook for the Jaguars since he's been the owner. Everything has been sort of passing the baton along, and there was always this feeling that everybody was going to do a lot of finger pointing at whoever just left. It was their fault. And there's something very interesting there about fans too, because fans fell into that trap, and that's what we're going to talk about in the next segment. So it seems like they were all ready to go and do that now. He's going to keep Trent Baalke, and he still might. We never know. And then Urban Meyer was going to be blamed for everything, right? Even some former players. Now, I'm not taking up for Urban Meyer one bit at all right? Trust me. And he earned a lot of the criticism that I gave him, a lot of criticism that he continues to get from everyone. But that doesn't make everyone who is still here, namely Trent Baalke and that coaching staff, it doesn't absolve them of any responsibility. And it certainly doesn't absolve Shad Khan of any responsibility, because I think at some point there were people that probably told him this wasn't going to work. Okay? There were probably people that looked at him and said, "This ain't." I wasn't one of them. I'm gonna admit I wasn't one. I thought they needed a CEO. I had no idea Urban was sort of immature like that. I thought he had some flaws, but I had no idea that he was just that immature. And I called him Joffrey Lannister because it seemed like there was just a lot of stuff going on. It was like, you kicked the dude, man, and then you lied about not putting the guy in the game and telling him to take the guy out and saying you don't micromanage stuff, man. That's like the deniability of like a 14-year-old, right? But that also doesn't mean that there were not other people in other parties sort of responsible for it. Why didn't Trent Baalke step in and stop all of this stuff? And the importance of answering that question is Trevor Lawrence has come out, and I kept telling folks, and this is the crux of what this is about. Can they ruin him? Trevor is getting, to me, he's getting close. I'm not talking about his ability to play the game. I'm talking about his enthusiasm for being in this city. It's too much for me. And I've heard other people in the media say it, and it's stuff that sounds good. Trevor needs to be, he needs to be spoken to about everything, about choices. You need to make sure he's involved in all of these. And I've never, ever seen a group of people want to put so much on a 22-year-old kid. And now it's like a dog and pony show that they keep putting him and sending him out here to calm the natives, to calm the, because they know that everyone sort of loves Trevor. So when the natives are restless, just like in the game against the Patriots, they get a 50 burger put on him. They want to run him back out there as if he's going to calm this whole situation down. Using the fans' love and affection and hope that they have for Trevor as a way to keep everybody on board. That's just the feeling that it gives. And to me, that's just too much. Football is hard enough for a 21, 22-year-old rookie. He doesn't need to be doing all of that stuff. He needs to just be learning how to play. He needs to be ingratiating with his teammates, well, the ones that's going to be here next year. That's what he needs to do. He doesn't need to be the guy who's the voice of reason with a bunch of 50 and 60-year-olds that's hanging around the building. That's not what Trevor Lawrence needs to be doing. And any and all of these people up to this point that thought it was a good idea to just be some people were so enthusiastic and so hyped that what they did was want to stick him out and stick him like he's everything. He's the guy that's going to make us sell advertising. He's the guy that's going to make us all famous. He's the guy everybody's watching. He's the guy. Put him out there. Just do everything. Why don't we let him cook team meals too? No, that's not the way this works. When your young quarterback comes into your franchise, you need to be able to cultivate an atmosphere that allows him to succeed. And one of those things is you need to do more for him and not worry about what he's doing for you. And if they don't, guess what's going to happen? Nobody ain't going to want to come play here. There was a report yesterday, and I know that's bad English, but y'all just got to deal with it. There was a report yesterday that an agent even told somebody at CBS that his client, a potential coach, would have to fire him before he takes an interview here. Like, I ain't letting you go down there. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? I can't. I love you too much to let you do that. That's what they're saying about they like it's the Bermuda Triangle or Lake Lanier. I love you too much to let you go down there and let them pay you $4 or $5 million a year to be their coach. And this kid probably hears this stuff. So now it's not media people saying that Jacksonville's going to ruin Trevor. It's media people saying that agents are saying Jacksonville's going to ruin my client and his future if I send him there. This is why you better, even if everything they say about Trent Baalke is wrong. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think you need to allow fans to run your team. I don't. Especially when some of them names they throwing out. You damn sure don't need to let some of these fans run your team because they're going to have somebody who was pumping gas as the damn GM next year if they get their jobs just because they know the dude's name. So you can't do that either. But you got to take inventory and understand what's going on. There are enough people saying it, and there's enough smoke out there that even if some of it is not true, you have a chance to totally start over. You can't get another franchise quarterback because, one, you ain't never had one, and two, this is 25, 26, 27 years in, and you just got one. That's hard to replace. You can find a general manager. Trust me. You can find an able GM to run this team. Shad just has to not be afraid to fail because he's failed now twice in trying to pick this. Keep doing the right thing, man. Just do the best you can. And at some point, you're going to get a good, solid football guy to run this organization. Ask the right people. Don't let your gut get in the way. But first, do it the way and do it in the order that it's supposed to be done. Don't pick the coach without the new GM or the new vice president. That's the same thing that happened to you and Caldwell when y'all took this team over. Wayne Weaver gave those guys extensions and hired Malarkey, and y'all came in and didn't change anything the first year because you wanted to take a look-see. And then after 1 year, you got rid of Malarkey, you got rid of Gene Smith, right? So don't do that to somebody else. If you want them, whether it's Rand Carthon or whoever, whatever proven guy or one of the second in command over in Tennessee or the third in command in Kansas City, wherever you go get him from, don't handicap him like that. Let him come in here and let that be a part of his job. I'm going to talk about the fans. I love y'all, but I warned y'all years ago, the same way I warned y'all about something else. I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about in just a second here on a Monday on Locked On Jaguars. Jags fans, this is Tony Wiggins with an incredible app everyone who buys gas needs to know about. It's called Get Upside. My listeners are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store or on Google Play right now. Use the promo code Touchdown and get a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first fill up. That's up to 50 cents cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using Get Upside. Just download the app, free and use the promo code touchdown to get up to 50% per gallon cash back on your first tank. Some people who drive a lot are making as much as $200 or $300 a month in cash back, and there's no catch. The cash back gets added right to your account, and you can cash out anytime to your bank, PayPal, an e-gift card, or Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use the promo code touchdown. Use the promo code touchdown. And I'll say it again, use the promo code touchdown, and you're going to get up to 50% off per gallon on your first tank. Cash back, that is, on your first tank. Touchdown on the Get Upside app. All right, thanks for making us your first listen here on Locked On Jaguars, as you do every single day. I'm Tony Wiggins, your host. Here's the danger in letting this linger too long if you're Shad Khan. This has to at some point become a destination place. This has to at some point become a place where people not even are willing to go, not even as a destination, not like their first choice. Like, you're my first listen. It don't have to be the first. It just has to be a place where people are not willing. It can't be a place where people are not willing to come play or work unless you're overpaying. It just can't. The fans are right that you got to get this right this time. Let me tell you why Shad feels like or felt like he could continue to do business as usual, and y'all had to tell him, nah, bro, we've had it. I think up to this point, the fans have been too understanding. I think up to this point, the fans have been too forgiving and too understanding. Now, that's a credit to you guys, but right now it's also a detriment to you guys. They're used to, and what they're used to, and whether this is what they tried to do or not, but this is something I told y'all about over and over and over again. Whenever they had a riff, whenever management had a riff with a player, no matter how great that player is or how good that player is, you know what they did? They knew they had your support. How can we as a fan base sit here and talk about how much of a tragedy this front office and this management has been and not expect people who actually play on the team and work in the building to think the same thing? If you think Shad Khan has hired bad coaches and bad personnel people, what the hell you think the players thought? I just told you, guys used to tell me that all the time. Guys who were drafted here and guys who signed here from other places. This ain't right. This off, bro. This ain't the way they're supposed to roll. So if they were angry and lashing out and complaining, what makes them any different from you right now? They work there. Their careers depended on it. You don't think we can be fans for 50 years. Most of them going to play 5 to 12 years. And if you don't think their legacies and their careers can be affected by either bad management or lack of success, then why are we begging people to put Fred, Tony, and Jimmy in the Hall of Fame when you know they're Hall of Famers and people aren't putting them in? It's the same thing. It ain't always just about money. It's about the reckoning and people getting their due for all of their hard work. And every single time they had a problem with a player, what did the fans do? The fans took the side of management and started arguing with guys who were just trying to get more money or who were complaining about the way this thing is going and how it's structured. And complaining about the fact that these guys had no clue about what they were doing. Now, you may not have liked the way it happened, but I warned y'all to stop siding with them because now they're shocked. They're shook. They're shaken. They can't believe that these loyal fans who fly and go everywhere with them all the time are actually going against them and creating this fabulous meme and movement. Good for you. It's a little late. It's a little late, but good for you. Good for you saying enough is enough. Good for you saying I ain't caping up for you no more. In fact, I'm going to obliterate you and embarrass you because I've been sticking up for you this whole time, and those dudes that I don't want to agree with were dead right about you. Dead right. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. They got people that left here saying, told y'all. Sorry we couldn't get along when I was there, but I told y'all they was like that. I had to actually work for them. I told y'all. That's what they're doing now. Man, it could all be so simple, man. It's like, man, we could have had the best of the best and the greatest of the greatest. These guys just not screwed this stuff up. And they look like they're trying to continue to do it. And the fans are standing up saying like, this ain't going to happen on our watch. So there's a difference between the fans actually trying to run the team and the fans just actually saying, look, man, enough is enough. You got to do something different, man. We can't keep taking up for you. The best thing about this team is the fans. It's the people in the city. Fix it. Fix it, fix it, fix it. We can't be the Bermuda Triangle or Lake Lanier of the NFL. Can't happen. Can't happen. We got to fix it. Or to go back to the first thing that I talked about today, the New York media will be right. You will ruin Trevor if you don't cultivate an atmosphere and a structure around him so that he can just go be your quarterback. Trust me. The best thing you want him to do is to play quarterback for this football team. And let me tell you this about finding a coach or finding a GM. There's a lot of people making comments about that, and I'm going to give my opinion on it. My opinion is this. Before you decide who you think you want the coach to be, just understand coaching is more than play calling. Please. They coach all year long. Say 6 months. They have the players in the building 6 months, right? They only play call 3 hours, 17 times a year. That's 51 hours where they play call if they don't make the playoffs. But they put countless hours in doing other stuff. And that's the other stuff that we need to be looking for. Communication, culture, coaching his own coaches, garnering respect of the players. If all we want to do is just look for a play caller, and even with the GM, it's easy for somebody to sit on TV and talk about what they do. You actually have to, it ain't just about picking players in the draft. It's not about just giving good speeches. Running a football team and being a general manager of a football team has a lot more duties. They only draft once a year, and free agency lasts for a couple of weeks in February or March or whenever it is, and then they go to the Senior Bowl. That's all that you see them do. That's not all that they do. The GM also should be picking the coach, unless the coach is a larger-than-life figure, and we saw how that worked out when you don't get that right. But the GM is team building. He's managing a roster. He's understanding that I understand needs and understand positional value, but I also understand that I have a bad roster. I hope whoever the new GM understands this. When you won 3 games in 2 years, you have no positional value as long as you have a quarterback. Man, this is what you're doing. And this is what they did wrong last year after Trevor, if you ask me. You know what you do? You take the best possible player you can, regardless of position, outside a quarterback, and you say, he's going to be my guy. And then the next pick, you take the highest ranked guy you can again. And the pick after that, you take the highest ranked guy you have again. You are not good enough at any position on this team to cherry pick and look around talent. At some point, you have to, when the Jaguars start lining up in the future, here's what has to happen. At some point, if someone says, all right, we got both teams on the field, that's 53 and 53, is 106 guys. Go get me the 16 best players out there. At some point, you need to have your 8. 8 of the top 16 players in this game need to be on your team. And hopefully one of them is definitely at the quarterback position. At some point, you have to have enough elite people where you're not out of the 16, they're going to pick 3 or 4 guys off your team and 12 off the other. You can't have that happen. And the only way you get away from that is taking the most elite player you can when you can until your team starts to show life, and you then start building around that. And now you can go cherry pick positions and do some team building. Please, Get it right. But if you don't get it right, it will not start. It will not start until you realize that you have a chance to really, really totally start this thing over. The Jaguars fan base had more hope last year during the offseason than any time I have ever remembered, except maybe 2018. And then the year after 97, probably. And it all went away, and it crashed and it burnt, and they're still here waiting for you guys to do something right. Listen to them. Take the advice. Listen to them. And let's start over. It doesn't matter who you pick. It really doesn't matter who you pick. They just want you to pick somebody good. They don't want you to keep what's over there now. I want you to think about that. Also, I want you to think about making your second listen every day to Locked On Bets podcast with your boy Q and Lee Sterling. With all of the uncertainty about guys coming in games, guys going fantasy football is over with, the championships games have been played. Now it's all about putting some money in your pocket. And you want to make sure you listen to the Locked On Bets podcast with your boy Q and Lee Sterling so you'll make some good choices and good decisions. Some games mean some stuff next week, so teams might not be sitting as many people because there are a lot of teams that still need to win to solidify their position in the playoffs. All right, man, y'all are winners too. Make sure you tune in every single day, like and subscribe and watch the video on YouTube. Take care of each other, man, and we'll see you guys on tomorrow with more Locked On Jaguars.